Good day, it's Penuel the Black Pen. I am going to try and I'm going to try and not get emotional while I'm making this video, and I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. I was meant to make this video yesterday, but as I was watching some videos and reading some articles, I found myself getting very angry, getting very gaslit, emotional, and I was like, nah, I need to sleep on this. And this morning, before I started making this video, I went through my notes and I just found myself getting tired. I'd like to ask you guys to sponsor some of my videos. It really helps me a lot in doing the work that I do, in terms of research, in terms of speaking to people. Yeah, man, for my data and all those good things. Because I'd like to think some of my videos are educational, like paying school fees, I guess. And the cool thing is when you sponsor my video, I get to shout out your company or your business. Or let's say, for example, you're looking for a job or you just want to highlight your skills. I can then give you a shout out. So even outside of the education that I give, you get to benefit because you get to advertise whatever it is that you're selling and promoting. I'm also going to try and push, especially in the new year, to ask and beg as many of you as possible to donate to my channel, whether it is through Patreon or direct transfer or becoming a paying member or donations in the comments. Because what that does is it ensures that a lot of my content remains independent. What happens, what people call being captured, what happens if I get one person or a couple of people or certain companies giving me the bulk of whatever money I need to do the work I do, they get to kind of curate and dictate the angle that I push, which I don't really like. I'd rather not make content, to be honest. But to make my content, it helps to have some kind of resources, and it helps for you guys who benefit from the work that I do to ensure that I remain independent by saying, Pen, here's $50, here's $100, here's 500 Rand, here's 5,000, here's 10,000 Rand. You don't even need to know who I am, but please keep doing the work that you do. It allows me to travel, it allows me to have meetings, it allows me to meet up with certain select privileged people that other people wouldn't get to meet. I get to buy books, I get to read books, I get to crunch some of the data and information that you guys wouldn't have access to, or even if you did, would not maybe have the nuanced knowledge and thinking, maneuvering skills that I may have. So I really hope as many of you as possible can sponsor some of my videos. I hope as many of you as possible can just donate to my channel. Let's get to it. I've got some water on the side, just for my throat. The one story that has been trending a lot in the last week is the Rand manipulation story in South Africa. And I'm going to start off by reading an article from Businesstech.co.za, which was released on the 15th of November 2023, with the hope that it gives you like a brief overview of what this video is about. UK-based banking multinational Standard Chartered Bank (SCB) has agreed to settle with the Competition Commission for 42.7 million Rand associated with the Rand dollar manipulation scandal that was exposed in 2017. Standard Chartered was one of the 28 banks who were prosecuted by the Commission for manipulating the Rand dollar currency pair between 2003 and 2013. The bank has admitted liability in the case. According to the Commission, Standard Chartered participated in the manipulation of USD ZAR currency pair by fixing bids, offers, bid-offer spreads, the spot exchange rate, and the exchange rate at the fix. Further, the bank participated in dividing markets by allocating customers in terms of which one trader withholds or pulls his or her existing bid or offer from the market to allow the other trader to execute and complete his or her trade. This conduct contravenes Section 4(1)(bi) and II of the Competition Act 89 of 1998, as amended, the Commission said. In February 2017, the Competition Commission referred a number of banks to the Competition Tribunal for price fixing involving the Rand. The Commission ultimately brought 28 banks under investigation in what it called the Forex cartel case. The manipulation impacted the exchange rate of the South African rand, which in turn affected various parts of the South African economy, including imports and exports, foreign direct investment, public and private debt, and company balance sheets, with the attendant implications for the price of goods and services and financial assets. The Standard Chartered settlement comes as other respondent banks are currently appearing before the Competition Appeal Court, seeking an order to set aside a competition tribunal order of 30 March 2023, which ordered respondent banks to file their answers to the complaint referral. The hearing for the appeals and reviews before the appeal court is set down from 13 to 16 November 2023. This settlement ends an 8-year-long litigation between the Commission and SCB over the currency manipulation allegations. Citibank already settled the same conduct with the Commission in 2017. The Commission said Citibank settled for a penalty of 69.5 million rand. The SCB settlement agreement has been filed with the tribunal for confirmation, which is set down for hearing on Wednesday, 15 November 2023. The Commission welcomes SCB's decision to reach a settlement on this matter and encourages other respondent banks to consider settling the complaint against them. Further, the settlement affirms the Commission's pursuit of allegations related to the manipulation of the USD ZAR currency pair, given the ultimate impact of the currency manipulation on the value of the South African rand, said Competition Commissioner Doris Tsepe. UK bank coughs up 43 million rand for manipulating the rand. Again, businesstech.co.za. So that's the overarching. I hope this video doesn't cut. I don't know how much space I have on my phone. I went through a couple of other articles, one of them from Wiley, www.wylie.co.za. Banks accused of colluding to rig the rand. I'm going to put that in the description along with the Businesstech article. I referenced at Mr. Lungisa on X, Twitter, because he really nicely wrote out the 28 banks that have been implicated. I'm going to read them out shortly. There's another article I've got here from newsnote.co.za. Silence as banks are caught with their pants down. Silence as banks are caught with their pants down. This was from the initial whistleblower, Kevin Wakeford. And I'm going to reference a book as well here that people may read. And there's 5 banks that are currently assisting the Competition Commission with this entire scandal. Like I said, I've written down notes. This thing makes me very angry, but I'm trying to be calm and I'm trying to speak slowly as well. And look, there are more questions than answers from my side, and there should be more questions than answers from your side. Let me start by reading the banks that are implicated. Number 1, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch International Ltd. Number 2, BNP Paribas. Number 3, JP Morgan Chase and Company. Number 4, JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Number 5, Investec Ltd. That's a South African bank. Number 6, Standard New York Securities Inc. Number 7, HSBC Bank PLC. Number 8, Standard Chartered Bank. Number 9, Credit Suisse Group. Number 10, Commerzbank AG. Number 11, Australia and New Zealand Banking Group Limited. Number 12, Nomura International PLC. Number 13, Macquarie Bank Limited. Number 14, South African bank ABSA Bank Limited. Number 15, Barclays Capital Inc. Number 16, Barclays Bank PLC. Number 17, Citibank N.A. Number 18, Citibank International Limited. Number 19, Deutsche Bank AG. Number 20, HSBC Bank USA N.A. Number 21, Societe Generale. Number 22, South African, again, Standard Bank of South Africa Limited. Number 23, a South African bank, Nedbank Limited. Number 24, another South African bank. This concludes the big banks in South Africa with First Rand Bank Limited. Number 25, Goldman Sachs International. Number 26, UBS AG. Number 27, Bank of Tokyo, Mitsubishi UFJ Limited. And number 28, Morgan Stanley & Co. International PLC. Thank you again to at Mr. Lungisa on Twitter for giving this list. If you want to see it, I'm going to put a link to Mr. Lungisa's tweet or X post below as well. One of the things that came out for you guys to just consider and chew on, ABSA Bank is exempt from liability, so they do not have to pay a fine. SCB, Standard Chartered, have paid 42.7 million. Back in 2017, Citibank paid 69.5 million. ABSA Bank, who also came fourth, were exempt from paying. Exempt from liability for administrative penalties because it was the first post in applying for leniency in terms of the Commission's corporate leniency policy. Early settlement fine discounts are still available to any cartel members who don't qualify for leniency but agree to consent orders. Of course, that means the respondent banks will have to admit that they participated in the cartel. And that, of course, is the rub. The Commission has for now only recommended fines of the maximum 10% of the respondent banks' South African revenues. This is very important because Sakina Kamwendo from Morning Live, who did a brilliant job of interviewing one of the stakeholders at the Competition Commission. One of the things that came out is that of these banks, these are international banks, and it looks like which bank is not involved? Which bank is not involved? He isolated, or he explicitly stated that they can only penalize the South African revenues. So some of these banks, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, BNP Paribas, etc., they have branches in South Africa. And the 10% maximum fine on the revenue is only for the South African revenues and not the money they have been making or made from the scandal in particular internationally. Very disturbing. Anyways, I'm going to post a link to that YouTube. There's a YouTube link for that Morning Live interview that Sakina absolutely murdered. From 1 May 2016, as mentioned, price fixing, both buying and selling prices, market division, and tender collusion between competitors became criminal offenses in terms of Section 73A 1 to 4 of the Competition Act, amended by Section 12 of the Competition Amendment Act 1 of 2009. The banks, this is from one of the articles I referenced, by the way. The banks have until 3 May 2017 to file applications to raise objections on grounds that the complaint is vague or does not disclose a cause of action. The Competition Tribunal's hearing of the complaint relating to the Commission's investigation will take place in July. So the main whistleblower is a gentleman known as Kevin Wakeford. And there's a great book written by Barry Sargent that I unfortunately have not read. It is called The Assault on the Rand, Kevin Wakeford and the Battle to Save a Currency. It is available online. You can order it online. It is not for me to promote the book. You'll have to go and search for it. But I've given you the name, The Assault on the Rand, Kevin Wakeford and the Battle to Save a Currency. Who knows, maybe one day I'll meet Barry Sargent and then maybe we can then promote the book properly. And maybe I will have read it as well. Some thoughts, of course, when I read the first article and many others. The Competition Commission, which is actually reports to, I believe, the Department of Trade and Industry, part of our government in South Africa. It was founded in 1999. As you heard earlier, the Act was from 1998. And in 2015, I'm not sure at present, which is 8 years later, at 2015 from 1999, that collected over 5.8 billion rand in fines for anti-competitive behavior. Two of the biggest scandals that people may know is there was a bread price fixing scandal back in the day. And some of your favorite FMCG companies were fined. One of them being Tiger Brands, which has a huge portfolio, catalog of brands that we consume on a daily basis. They were fined 98 million rand. Premier, Tiger Brands, I think, still has Albany under their catalog, under their ambit. Premier was not fined because they were the first to come forward. And as you've heard with ABSA, when you come forward first, you get to miss the bullet. They were not fined. I think Premier had blue or has blue ribbon under their catalog. Pioneer Foods, which had Sasco Sam or has Sasco Sam, they were fined 195 million rand with that bread price fixing. I am not aware, and this is one of the questions, of where this money goes. And sadly, I'm also not aware that after they were fined, that the price of bread went down after that. Another big scandal was when 15 construction firms in 2013 were fined 1.4 billion rand. Now, again, at 2015, the Competition Commission had collected 5.8 billion rand. And this was huge in 1 year, 1.4 billion. 15 construction firms, but to be honest, 21 firms, the construction cartel, the construction mafia were involved. But of the 21, 3 came forward up front. And again, they were exempt. And then 3 were not fined, and only 15 were fined this 1.4 billion for work that they'd undertaken between 2006 and 2011. Some of it involving the World Cup stadiums for the Football World Cup. The companies that incurred the largest penalties for collusive practices were WHBO, Wilson Bailey Holmes Ofcon, which was fined 311 million rand for 11 projects. Murray and Roberts, which was fined 309 million rand for 17 projects. Stefanucci Stocks, which was fined 306 million rand for 21 projects. And Avenge, which was fined 306 million rand for 17 projects. This is the construction cartel. There are so many others because, like I said, 21. Your biggest construction companies, which are responsible for, we speak about tenderpreneurs and black people. They're responsible for the biggest construction tenders in government. Hospitals, bridges, roads, other buildings, etc. These companies, your favorite white companies that pay tax and create so many jobs. And I can only imagine that after this, it's not like they've actually stopped. I don't believe Tiger Brands, Premium, Pioneer Foods, and others have stopped price fixing in the food categories as well. These are the things that inflame me and get me angry. Where does the money go? There's a Money Web article that I could not access because I'm not a subscriber. But it would be great. I went to the Competition Commission website, and under the FAQs, I also couldn't see where the money goes. My guess is that this money goes to the Department of Trade and Industry, which means it goes to government. What your government does with that money, only we can maybe guess. Very sad. So that's one of the things that I raise. Now we're speaking about the banks and currency rigging. And this one is so layered. 2007 to 2013 is the scope of the Competition Commission. One of the things that the stakeholder from the Competition Commission said on Morning Live was that they have a huge backlog. That's why this case has taken so long, and it hasn't even really ended. They say it's ended. It's 8-year investigation, but it hasn't. And they were only looking in the scope of 2007 to 2013. They have not been looking at the scope of 2013 to 2023 of whether there's rand manipulation there as well. Not just with the rand to dollar, because that's also just the scope. What about the rand to pound? What about the rand to the euro? What about the rand to the yen? We don't know because it's not within the scope. It's not what's looked at. Same way with the State Capture Commission under, at the time, Acting Chief Justice, today the Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, which was only focusing on the scope of certain individuals and certain transactions. When people like Machela Koko, when people like Brian Molife, when people like Transnet, I forget this guy's name, I remember it, Pansula, man. I'm just trying to reference his name. Nope. I hope I remember it. Transnet CEO, State Capture Commission. I'm only raising their names as the guys that I remember. I want to say Jackson, but I don't think his name is Jackson. Lucky Montana. I can't see his name, but I remember it. Lucky Montana. They raised certain things specifically linked to Eskom, Transnet, implicating Cyril Ramaphosa, Glencore. Those things were never looked at because they were not within the scope. And the money spent, I think, was 1 billion, if not 2 billion, because it was extended. The money that lawyers chowed, the money that people like Chief Justice Raymond Zondo and other consultants chowed, it did not involve that. So they're like, no, we're only focusing on the Guptas and Zuma, etc. This other stuff, let's park it. The PIC Commission as well. When people like Kulufelo Maponya, when people like Iqbal Survey and others went there to be investigated under the ex-CEO Dan Majila, when they went there to be investigated, they were like, why are you not looking at some of these other companies, especially the white companies that the PIC has invested in? Companies like Steinhoff, No, it's not within the scope. Who decides on the scope? What agenda is being pushed and why is there political interference? And again, these are things that gaslight me and get me so pissed. But again, happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts. So I believe that the banks are still involved in many scandals. Shout out to Emerald Van Sale. Emerald Van Sale, I think it's at Interreg, if I'm not mistaken, at Interreg on X, Twitter, a white lawyer who has been aggressively fighting some of your favorite banks that have been overcharging black people for home loans all the way from apartheid days and even when they were bought in. I just want to get the name of these banks. Emerald Van Sale. This is how I research some of the stuff, and this is why you guys need to fund my channels and donate to the work that I do. Because it's not like I'm just reading off a thing. I actually have to apply my mind and research and collate some of this information. I was supposed to sit with Emerald Van Sale last year. I wanted to sit down with him on one of my podcasts. I unfortunately did not get a chance to because of scheduling clashes. I hope to sit with him at some point. Standard Bank has been involved. FNB has been involved. I know they bought Sambo, one of the banks. And I've made a video before to say that I worked in banking. I worked at ABSA, I worked at Standard Bank. And at the engines there, the credit policies we have, they do not discriminate on race. And people argued and they were like, look at Emerald Van Sale. I'm like, no. Emerald is speaking about old cases and certain cases where there are overrides but the current credit scoring models in the banks do not have that. However, it does not mean it wasn't done before. It doesn't mean there isn't scandals today. I was speaking from my experience and what I've seen working there. But that does not mean it's not happening today. And that's why investigations have to be made. While I was at ABSA, we would get requests from executives asking us to override certain transactions that had been declined by the system. And they were willing to carry the mandate because it was people they knew. And I've tried to explain to people as well that you can do that. You can go into a bank and ask for your rejected application to be escalated to head office. And then people like myself back in the day, people that sit in a credit risk analysis committee somewhere, they will review your application and then override. So that is something to consider. Emerald Van Sale, thank you so much to you for that. There are scandals in home loans. There are scandals in personal loans. There are scandals in business loans that go to certain businesses that don't qualify. And then now there's rigging in the rand. There are issues in the trading. There are issues in interest charges generally. There are interest in bank charges. How many people have been charged? There was a 99 Rand scandal that the banks to this day have not been held to account for. How can it be that with all your security and all these things, you allow debit orders that are unauthorized to take money from people and you don't warn them, you don't reverse these monies, and you are not held liable at all? It's just like, we're sorry. Just make sure that you sort this thing out. To this day, nothing happens because the banks in this country are protected by your ministers of finance, by the South African Reserve Bank governor. To this day, protected by the ANC, protected by the apartheid government before, protected by the biggest business owners that fund the politicians. I just gave you companies now that have been involved in scandals and corruption. When you think corruption, you think, tenders, black people, ANC. No. Lily white companies, Tiger Brands, Premier, Pioneer Foods, WPHO, Murray and Roberts, Stefanuti Stocks. I'm mentioning Standard Bank. I'm mentioning ABSA, FNB, Nedbank. These are lily white companies that are never called out for corruption. And some of them are aided by audit firms, KPMG, Deloitte. The firms that are meant to verify and authenticate that, no, these guys are doing their best. There's no foul play. They turn a blind eye and many of them are bribed. I come from an audit background. I was studying to be a CA. I was signed to Ernst & Young. I know that some of the kids that are auditing are hoping to be given job offers by these companies. Why would I want to make the company look bad? So I'm going to turn a blind eye here and there, and then I'll give an unqualified report. Everything looks good until someone blows the whistle, and then all of a sudden, it's a scandal. But these audit firms are allowed to carry on. KPMG, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, Grant Thornton, and so many others. But the banks are darlings. You can't touch the banks. The South African Reserve Bank, as the king of the mafias, keeps quiet. It hasn't even issued a statement now. It doesn't issue statements when people like Emerald Van Sale are exposing the rot. And whistleblowers are not protected in this country. Whistleblowers get killed, they get fired, and no one gets held to account, and life carries on as per usual. I spoke previously about Tito Mboweni and how he was finance minister, and right after he left, he went to join companies that are a conflict of interest with the role he was sitting on. Goldman Sachs, he's an advisor there. Certain property companies, he sits on the boards. What fucking bullshit conflict of interest do we allow in this country without fucking burning it? If the ordinary man on the street knew the rot in this country, they would necklace politicians. They would necklace big business people. They would burn institutions. David Fincher, Fight Club. Edward Norton, Brad Pitt. A book by Chuck Palahniuk. They would burn the institutions. In Fight Club, the guys are burning the credit bureau so that everyone starts off with a clean credit record. Today we speak about Moody's, S&P, Standard & Poor, the ratings agencies who were hammering South Africa when Jacob Zuma was president. Quiet. You can hear a pin drop during the Cyril Ramaphosa administration with the rampant corruption. No downgrading. Load shedding under Andre Terreira, worst ever. Corruption, Cyril Ramaphosa and Phala. COVID money looted. Ratings agency, Nigupi. Where are you? Where? Nowhere to be fucking seen. Someone on X yesterday tweeted that ratings agencies are partly owned by Berkshire Hathaway, the company by Warren Buffett. And if you want to see the rot of rating agencies, please watch one of my favorite movies called The Big Short. I think it's called The Big Short. I want to get the director because he also did another sensational movie called Don't Look Up. The Big Short movie, directed by, let's see here, Adam McKay, along with Don't Look Up. Again, this is the research and the stuff I do for you to educate you and then to plug you so that you can be self-liberated and realize how the real world works. Stephen Carell, Ryan Gosling, so many other stars in that movie. Margot Robbie, and Selena Gomez. Yeah, please go check it out. The Big Short. It speaks about the rotten corruption of rating agencies. It speaks about the rotten corruption of trading houses. And it highlights how we had the global recession from the property market corruption in America, which has not stopped. The people that take the hammering are ordinary people and taxpayers. But Barack Obama, darling Barack Obama, who sent troops to the east to go and murder innocent people. But we have to keep quiet. Now with Israel and Palestine, we have to, war criminals. George Bush, Joe Biden. We can't call them that because the platforms that we're on are American platforms and they censor some of the shit we say. They take down our videos. I have to hold my breath that this video won't be taken down because did he really just say that? They did not hammer anyone in the banking industry at that time. Got off. This is the world we live in. The Big Short, another good movie is Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. Shia LaBeouf, Josh Brolin, who does Thanos in Avengers Infinity War Endgame. Michael Douglas. Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. It also speaks about insider trading and the rot. You can go and see the first one, Wall Street, with Michael Douglas and is it Charlie Sheen? I think it's Charlie Sheen. Margin Call, Jeremy Irons, Kevin Spacey. Margin Call. Go watch how the ruthless capitalists at the top, when shit goes down, they just jump ship. They're not held accountable. They send some lambs to the slaughter while they carry on feasting somewhere else. George Orwell's Animal Farm in full effect. Please go and watch The Big Short. Go and watch Don't Look Up, Adam McKay. Go and watch Margin Call. Go and watch Wall Street Money Never Sleeps and watch the first Wall Street. There are other amazing movies. Go and read Animal Farm. Go and read 1984 by George Orwell, I believe being the best book of all time. African Bank back in the day was involved in reckless lending. VBS was caught. Dodgy dealings. The Vendor Building Society Mutual Bank. Hammered. The bank is no more. An example of black incompetence, corruption, maladministration. Some of the EFF leadership, Abo Floyd Shibambu, Nabo Julius, are linked there somehow. Julius Mali, Jacob Zuma got a loan for a bond from VBS. Oh, black incompetence and corruption. African Bank. At the time, the CEO was Leon Kirkinis, who happens to be a Jewish fellow. A lot of the guys who were in the executive of African Bank, a lot of Jewish gents, a lot of them jumped ship and went to enjoy Transaction Capital, which is running debt and credit in South Africa. Fucked up. No one says fuck all. SA Taxi, Bayport, and. No one speaks about them. No one says their names. No one says African Bank is a poster of white incompetence and corruption and maladministration. No one says that about Steinhoff. Yes, they had a fall guy, Marcus Jooste. But Bruno Steinhoff, exempt. Christo Wiese, exempt. All the other execs, exempt. In South Africa, Steinhoff, nothing happens. Marcus Jooste gets to live his life. It has to be Germans in Europe who have to hold this guy to account because South Africans are doing nothing. The National Prosecuting Authority, the NPA, said we don't have money to investigate. And guess what? You will not fucking believe this. Steinhoff gave them money. Steinhoff gave the NPA money. I don't know if it was 40 million or whatever, and said, guys, since you don't have money to investigate us for wrongdoing, here's some money to help you investigate us. Fathom that bullshit. Fathom that bullshit. The Competition Commission is underfunded. They have a huge backlog, as the gent said on Morning Live. The State Capture Commission had to end because they run out of funds. We cannot enact justice because we do not have the money. The lawyers are too expensive. The judges are too expensive. Yes. We know we want to enact justice. We'd love to. We can see the criminals are there. But we don't have money. We don't have money. We can see it. You know what? You're right. You're so right. But the lawyers are charging. Oh, Dalim Pofu, Abo Khernel, Abo Advocate Periru. They're too expensive. So unfortunately, justice will not be served because we don't have enough money. Because your politicians also, they underfund these institutions and they are busy being corrupt. And when Abu Cyril and these guys get exposed, nothing happens. Tito Mboweni was one of the people that the EFF pointed to when he was Minister of Finance to investigate the banks, and he refused to. He was like, we'll see. Tito Mboweni, who today gaslights and ridicules South Africans by cooking tinned fish and chicken. Busy being an ambassador for Machuba's Kloof in Limpopo, where he's from, with his friends, the fund sales of ZZ2. Who he obviously, if they were involved in scandals, he'd never throw them under the bus. I can imagine how much funding they give him. Who else was involved? ABSA, at the time, CEO. Female CEO, beautiful, woman empowerment. Maria Ramos. Who's Maria Ramos? She used to be a leader in the ANC. Furthermore, she is the wife of former Minister of Finance, Trevor Manuel, a darling of the ANC, who today says he's no longer part of the ANC. Professor J.J. Tabane was sued by Trevor Manuel because I sat with him with DJ Sbu on the Hustlers Corner. And he said Trevor Manuel, people like Tito Mboweni, and arguably Thabo Mbeki were behind the formation of COPE. And he said, defamation, I'm suing you. And Prof. J.J. Tabane said, I'll see you in court, bosh. See you in court, bosh. Trevor Manuel today denounces the ANC. I'm no longer a member. He sits on the boards of the Rothschilds, the kings of modern banking, by the way. Trevor Manuel, Minister of Finance, married to CEO, or I think she was the CEO of ABSA. At some point, she was the CEO or chair of Transnet. Maria Ramos, banking. And now he sits there, Rothschild, where there was a banking dynasty, but the 5 Rothschild boys all over Europe who formalized banking today after the Medici family. These are plugs for you. You can go and research these families. The Medici, the Bilderberg, the Rothschilds. No longer ANC. But here we are today. These are the people that were involved. No names have been given. The banks are manipulated. Who? Ace Magashule, Tito Mboweni, Cyril Ramaphosa, Jacob Zuma, Floyd Shibambu, Fikile Mbalula. Where are the faces and the names of the people that are involved in these 28 banks? Where are the faces and the names of the people that were corrupted, Deloitte and KPMG? Where are the faces and the names of the construction cartel mafia? Of the bread price fixing mafia? Where are the names and the faces? Mainstream media, fuck you, and that's why many people don't respect you. Your owners are involved in the fucking scandals of this country because they have shares in these companies, because they are friends with the people that own these companies, because their friends are the ones that give them money and advertise. I mean, if I own the biggest mainstream, SABC, the E media company, ENCA, ETV, if I own City Press, The Citizen, Sunday Times, The Times, The Star, or Mail and Guardian, Daily, if I own these things, obviously there are ads there. That's where I make my money. Who is buying ad space? Tiger Brands, Pioneer Foods, Premier, WBHO, Stefanuti Stocks, KPMG, Deloitte, FNB, Capitec, Netbank, and. There were people on Twitter saying, I'm so glad my bank Capitec is not involved. Capitec is not involved in foreign fucking transactions. But I can tell you something that you didn't ask for. Brace yourself. One of my favorite entrepreneurs, Yanni Mouton, founded PSG. PSG has got shares in Pioneer Foods that was involved in the bread price fixing. They also happen to be the guys that funded Curo schools. PSG and Yanni Mouton also funded and helped boost Capitec. Michael Leroux Rianstassen. PSG, Capitec. PSG, Capitec is partly owned by Christo Visa. Christo Visa owns ShopRite, Pep. He has a stake in Capitec. Now we go to the Stellenbosch Mafia, Johan Rupert, who helped fund Laurie Dippenaar, GT Ferreira, Paul Harris, gave them a banking license to form First Rand, the bank group which has FNB. Johan Rupert. These are all mates. These are all The South African Reserve Bank is the central bank, along with many other central banks in the world. The Federal Reserve being famous in America. They use a model set by the Central Bank of London. The Central Bank of London's model was created by one of the Rothschilds boys. They had banks across 5 countries in Europe, and they formalized global banking. So the model of the South African bank that we use today is still from there, and in some way they report there. I'm sure there's some secret meetings that get held in Switzerland where our Trevor Manuel and them get to sit today, because Swiss banking is like the king of banking. And the Rothschilds head offices secretly, conspiracy theory, Illuminati, they sit there. The South African Reserve Bank is partly owned. It's privately owned. It's mind-blowing, but these are the things which is whatever. It's privately owned. Tito Mbowene's got shares. Pravin Gordhan has got shares. There are some Germans that own a stake. It's private. The governor, Lesetja Garago, my apologies, sir, for your name. South African Reserve Bank Governor. Mr. Lesetja Kganyago, yes. They control our money supply via the Reserve Bank. They tweak, inflation targeting, of which inflation is legal theft, by the way. We'll speak rand manipulation and those things now. But inflation is one of the biggest crimes, not just in South Africa, in the world, where the elite will increase the price of goods and services, and they'll say it's because of interest rates, they'll say it's because of the cost of labor, but to be honest, when they speak cost of labor, when the price of goods and services go up, there is no equal aligned increase in your salary. If bread goes up by 20%, your salary doesn't go up by 20%. If the rent escalation clause where you live goes up by 10%, your salary doesn't go up by 10%. If petrol, for the 5th time fucking this year, goes up by 2 rand, your salary is not going to cater for that. So what happens is, as inflation, as the price of goods and services and interest rates and compound interest are hammering you, Your salary now has to play catch up, but you cannot catch up. So you end up having to get overdrafts, credit cards, personal loans, which give you more interest, which make more money, which increases inflation, which keeps fucking you more in the ass with no lube. The South African Reserve Bank, and they keep saying they're tweaking and they're managing, but inflation keeps going up, the price of things keeps going up. So Mr. Lesetja and many of his mates and the Minister of Finance, who's the Minister of Finance now? Just never know these days. It was Praveen at some point, his state-owned enterprises. It was Tito Mboweni at some point. Mr. Enoch Kotungwana, Minister of Finance. These are the clowns that are fucking running this country and fucking us in the ass with this money bullshit system that we have. And it's not unique to South Africa. I've made videos before about one of my principles as a penalist is how money is not real and we should focus on value. I've said and made videos about how the poor should focus on bartering. We've spoken with many stakeholders about the idea of using blockchain and crypto to bypass the bullshit of the fiat money system. We went from bartering to the gold standard, to fiat currency today, to digital, to maybe crypto in the future. The system is fucked. Go and read The Ascent of Money by Neil Ferguson. If you're too lazy to read, there's a documentary, you can find it on YouTube. The Ascent of Money, which chronicles the history of money and where we are today, and also gives you an idea of how fucked this system is. I mean, I was reading, let me just read some of these words, because shame, unfortunately, some of you didn't study accounting, economics, finance. You didn't read the books that I've read. So when you read some of these things, you don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Where is it? According to the commission, Standard Chartered participated in the manipulation of the USD ZAR currency pair by fixing bids. What the fuck is that? Offers. The fuck is that? Bid offer spread, the spot exchange rate, and the exchange rate at the fix. Further, the bank participated in dividing markets by allocating customers in terms of which one trader withholds or pulls his or her existing bid or offer from the market to allow the other trader to execute and complete his or her trade. What the fuck is... I'm not smart enough. Black South Africans struggle with English. Colored South Africans struggle with English. White Afrikaners struggle with English. Very focus here. Ek verstaan nie. We don't understand in this jargon. Our tax acts, high jargon to keep people dumb. The laws with Latin to keep people dumb. The more complex, the more confusing, the thicker the legislation, the more money you can make and the more you can fuck people over, because people don't really know what it means. People have been getting asked, what does this mean for the average man on the street? And they say here, the manipulation impacted, this is the Businesstech article, the manipulation impacted the exchange rate of the South African Reserve, the South African Rand, which means our Rand was devalued. They blame Jacob Zuma, who at the time was trying to appoint David van Rooyen as Minister of Finance, and he was threatened. He has gone on record to say that Johan Rupert told Phil Mbalula that if you don't tell Jacob Zuma to remove that guy, we will devalue the Rand. Johan Rupert has sat and laughed and joked and said, how can I manipulate the Rand? Again, gaslighting ordinary South Africans, frustrating the shit out of ordinary South Africans and pretending like we don't control the markets and fuck all of you guys. All of you guys are playing fucking mind games with the people. I digress. Jacob Zuma was blamed. He removed David van Rooyen. He reinstated Pravin Gordhan because Johan Rupert wanted Pravin to be back. The Rand magically went up again. Load shedding in this country. Corruption at Eskom. Transnet is fucked. We have issues at the harbors. Crime keeps going up. The death rates. For some reason, for some weird reason, Cyril Ramaphosa does not impact the Rand. Jacob Zuma does, but Cyril doesn't. And some of these things don't impact the Rand, but it's market forces. It's no longer Cyril, it's now market forces. To show how much these people disrespect each and every one of us, and rightfully so, because we're idiots, unfortunately. We're idiots, number one, and also, unfortunately, we are powerless. Even those of us who are intelligent like myself, all we can do really is speak. Because what else can I do? Build an army? Arrange a coup? Go, like I said, and bomb, and what's happened in some of the, I don't know if it's Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, where they overthrow governments or go and storm White Capitol Hill. in America? Is that what we're meant to do? Anyways, we'll speak about solutions if I get a chance. This video is already too long. When the South African rand is cheaper, it means people overseas buy our gold and diamonds and platinum, which they already do, for a steal. It's basically like exploited labor, which happens even within South Africa, by the way, but that's a story for another day. Now, when our rand is weaker, it means we export for cheaper, which means we bring less foreign currency. It also means when we import, when we buy from America and when we buy from China and Europe, we buy for a higher price. You can imagine the trickle-down effect. If we're spending more than we're supposed to because the rand is weak artificially, if we're spending more money than we're supposed to import clothing from China, clothing will be more expensive. If we are importing iPhones from America and the rand is artificially weaker, it's going to be more expensive. BMWs from Europe, Adidas, Puma from Europe, our engineering goods that we need here. And we are selling for cheap, but we are buying for expensive because greedy banks, 28 of them for now, it's probably more. Greedy banks locally and abroad, traders and the executives, of which they are not showing us pictures, they are not giving us names. Some of these people have probably already jumped ship. You'll never see them. They're sitting at some companies somewhere. Investec was also involved, by the way. Private bank in South Africa. It's got branches around the world as well. No names. No one's getting fired. Your Minister of Finance, because all of these guys are in bed together. They're all in the same WhatsApp group. They're never going to hold these people to account. These people fund them. These people are their mates. Their kids go to the same schools. It's the same way some of you are corrupt. You work in a hospital, but you steal medicine. You work in a school, but you steal stationery for kids. You work in a space where you're meant to cater for the poor, but you steal some of the food packs. Some of you bribe traffic cops. Some of you lie on affidavits. We all lie and we protect. That uncle that's molesting the kids in the family, you turn a blind eye. Your brother who's a thief, you're never going to go open a case and be like, my brother's a criminal. Your mother who's been stealing stuff from wherever she works, you're never going to point her out. It's the exact same thing. The people that fund you, your boss, who's a crook and a criminal, your wife, who maybe does tenders and you know that she pays you're never going to snitch on them. Your white boss, we're not speaking Johan Rupert, we're not speaking Rob Hersoff, we're not speaking Christo Visa and the Oppenheimers. Speak about whoever your white or Indian boss is. You know they're involved in shady dealings, you'll never report them because you don't want to affect your salary, your livelihood. It's the same thing with the ANC politicians. It's the same with the people that work at the NPA. It's the same with the police. It's the same with all these people are in bed together because money is shared. That's why we're not going to see real justice. Cyril Ramaphosa was implicated at the State Capture Commission and Chief Justice Raymond Zondo happily handed him over the reports and then he was gifted with the Chief Justice title. Mates, fat laughs, of which we found out before that Raymond Zondo was mates with Jacob Zuma as well. They have a link. Fat laughs. Fat laughs. Let's have a fat chuckle. We ordinary citizens get fucked. No loop. And while we're bleeding and screaming, they fuck us harder. Impact of the imports and exports, foreign direct investment, public and private debt with interest, company balance sheets, meaning they were undervalued if they were in rands and overvalued if they were in dollars, with the attendant implications. You almost start thinking that South Africa, as far as the dollar is rigged, maybe we should take on the dollar as our modus operandi. To be like, if the dollar is going to be scandalous, we want to be part of the scandal. We want to be complicit in the crimes. And if Elon Musk charges $100 for a service, I will charge $100 for a service. If Chris Brown charges $20 to perform, then South African artists should charge, Macquarie must charge $20. If a banker in America is making $1,000, a banker in South Africa must make $1,000. So that if they fucking crooking us there, at least we're making the same type of money here. Because if we're not going to be part of the currency scandals, of which there are many, the rand is small. The dollar is the biggest criminal currency in the world. Some of these banks I forgot to mention were in the Al Jazeera documentaries with the gold mafia story in Zimbabwe. Some of your favorite banks where you bank your money. But where must we bank, Pen? I do not have an answer for you. I made a video for TikTok and I posted on X as well that People need to start looking into stokvels as alternatives to banking. But you're going to bank your money, of course, for now. You know, we're captured. We have these cartels / monopolies that don't allow us to breathe. Take your money, put them in banks, of course, and then as quickly as possible, take the money out and then buy real assets. Doesn't matter how many dollars or pounds or yen or euros it costs. A cow is a cow is a cow is a cow. A piece of land is a piece of land is a piece of land is a piece of land. A gold bar is a gold bar is a gold bar is a gold bar. You're like, I don't want your money. And I've said this to people before and I got slashed because people are so stupid and short-sighted and deserving to be oppressed by the elite. You almost want to tell your boss, I don't care about interest rates. I don't care about inflation. I don't care about money. While I work for you, I would like to live here. Pay for my accommodation here. I would like you to pay for a car, a decent car here, and pay for my fuel. And I would like you, here's a list of my groceries. And if I perform well this year, I would like you to upgrade me to a better house, upgrade me to a better car, give me more fuel spend, give me more groceries. But I don't want the money because I don't want us to negotiate money, because what's going to happen is you're going to pay me money, we're going to have a fat laugh. But in the real world out there, this money is going to be worth less and less every single month as the price of fuel goes up, as escalation at my property goes up, as my interest rate on my bond goes up, as the price of food but you're still going to expect me to be productive at work. In 2023, many of us are out earning our parents 5-10 times, if not more. Your dad was earning 3,000 Rand a month. Your mom was earning 10,000 Rand a month. You're earning 30,000, 50,000, 80,000. But if you look at what your parents could do with that money compared to what you can do, that should show you the theft of inflation. Your mom and dad could buy a bigger house than the small little flat town house you can afford now, but you're earning multiples more, which means it's not about the numbers. You are being overworked. You are a senior engineer, an actuarial scientist, but your house is smaller than your family home that your mom, the teacher, bought in 1996. Let me see what other notes I've got here before I shut this down. It's been a bit long and I did try to contain my emotions. Touched on a lot of these. I mentioned Palapal, of course, load shedding, Eskom, scandal, Transnet. I had a sit down with Sandile Shezi, popular millionaire Forex trader. And I was telling him about some of my knowledge. We just didn't get technical about the A book and B book in Forex trading, because Forex trading was huge scandals. And look, the USD czar is Forex trading, by the way. If you say, Abo Sandile Shezi, Abo cash flow, O Jablani Ngobo, Abo Prince NRP, Prince Mazimugo, Abo, who's this boy? There's these billionaires, whatever. If you're like, these are scam artists, small time. Small time. Even if it's true, small time. Your biggest banks that you trust, that tell you, these boys are scammers. They are the kings of scam. Sandile Shezi said, no, this A book, B book is not a real thing. We'll discuss it. It's a real thing. And I'm telling you now that these banks have the same thing. What happens for people that don't know, because a lot of these traders, they have instant chatting platforms. Bloomberg, American, Jewish, owned by Michael Bloomberg, ex-New York mayor. Bloomberg, Reuters. These trading houses, they have these screens where they trade after calling themselves, fuck you, cunt, asshole, fuck your mom, bro. Go watch The Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, sensational actor, and Margot Robbie. These guys speak to each other, and in Margin Call and The Big Short, they show this. They speak to each other like, dog, I'm about to get a big deal. Don't pull that trade. I'm about to cash out. From your side, whichever bank you're part of, you guys are going to lose money. 50 million. I'm about to make 200 million, and I'm going to get a bonus from this 200 million of maybe 3 million Rand. Donna, I need you to lose that money. I'm going to make 3 million, and I'm going to break you off like 1 million Rand. It's not even our money anyways. It's the bank's money. It's not the bank's money. It's human beings' money. A lot of it is pension money. Your mom and dad who have been bleeding for this country, for this economy, for 50 years. their retirement money they're looking forward to, which Tito Mboweni refused to let people withdraw because of legislation and regulation to protect the consumer. Fuck you, it's to protect the banks and the insurance companies so that you guys can keep milking their money, devaluing their money, investing in your mates, Abo Steinhoff, and to loot. And they're like, Sentwana, hold this trade. Some of these traders, so don't just imagine old white people. Some of these traders are young black kids, sharp. They've read the same books I've read. They've watched the same movies and watched the same documentaries. They went to really fucking dope girls' schools, boys' schools. Their English is fucking top notch, bro. They'll fucking call your mama cunt and fuck you, go wank. You know, I fucking creamed that spread, bro. You should see my fucking bonus end of the year. R&B a couple of years ago, the bonuses they made, bro. People were paying off their houses. Some people buying like sports cars. People were going on holiday, taking their girlfriends to Santorini, Greece. It was a fucking perler of a year. It's not just white kids. It's not just white old people. Black kids, young, colored kids, Indian kids who think they're fucking in Wall Street. Some are in Wall Street because these banks are global. Bleeding this country because they don't see the impact that what I'm doing now is a ripple effect. And the reason my grandmother is poor, and the reason my extended family is struggling, and the reason my mom's pension doesn't look good. You're like, this doesn't make sense. It's because of what you're doing, bro. It's your corruption. It's your turning a blind eye. It's your fucking bullshit. Mfowethu, dadewethu. So many black kids in South Africa hate apartheid, but work in apartheid beneficiary companies, earning the fattest salaries with the fattest bonuses, but they did no wrong. But they're the first to call out white privilege, and white kids must. But they're like, no, I worked hard to be here. I don't have white privilege. And the white kids like, my dad was a cop. My mom was a nurse. I also don't have white privilege. Fuck you, Jonathan. Fuck you, Mary. What the hell? But bro, we went to the same boys' college. We went to the same girls' high. Apartheid beneficiary companies, which makes you complicit in retrospective oppression and makes you complicit in current oppression of the majority of this country, sorry. Names are never named. What tends to happen with these companies is they appoint a female CEO. It happens everywhere in the world because women are seen as softer. The media doesn't go hard on them. The regulators don't go hard. I just saw recently, I think First Rank just named a black female CEO. Everyone's clapping hands. And I'm like, you fucking idiots. I think one of the audit firms, if it's not Deloitte, also after scandals, black female partner or CEO. They do it. After the biggest scandals, they'll get a black face so everyone claps hands and forgets. Like after George Bush and all his bullshit and the weapons of mass destruction and all that bullshit, then they put Barack Obama with his big ears so everyone could clap hands. Our first black president. When there's scandals, they put a black woman in South Africa, boy. Soft. Everyone claps hands and everyone forgets. No one's going to go hard on a black woman. Come on. Mbogoto, feminism, women empowerment. While they split the black family. Okay. Let me shut this thing down. Yeah, I've said enough. There's so much more to say. South Africa, like every other piece of the world, is just a piece of land. Land does not belong to anyone. The idea of countries and borders, the idea of currencies, the idea of markets, whatever you call it, free market capitalism, willing buyer, willing seller, the stock exchanges, the value of a currency, all of this has been created by man. And man has mastered language and man has mastered storytelling. And through that, he's been able to manipulate the masses, essentially. Using religion, using politics, using culture and tradition, using storytelling, especially Hollywood, movies, music, telling about the history, the great Mapungubwe and the great empire of Kemet and Ntu, the people of Ntu and Enki, and all these great things and the pyramids. These are all stories which in some way eventually colonize your mind, along with your name, your ID number. I'm a proud South African. The Springboks won. I'm a Pan-Africanist. The West, the East, the Europeans. I'm part of BRICS. No, I'm pro-Israel. No, I'm pro-Palestine. The Russia and Ukraine conflict. All of this stuff is them just playing games with your mind. South Africa is a piece of land. Money, which is fiat today, is determined by a central bank, and they play around with it to ensure that the elite stay rich, that Jonathan and Nikki Oppenheimer remain rich, that the Visa family remains rich, that the Ruperts remain rich, the Mutons, the Mutsipes, the Kumetes, the Ramaphosas, and other families remain rich and wealthy. For you to get in there, it's a lot of work, and you need to prove your worth by maybe murdering a lot of people. It's not as cool today. Maybe going to the right schools, being brilliant, being smart, and working your way up to get to the seats. Abo pen that create podcasts, speak good English, are very knowledgeable, and you wine and dine and worm your way into the biggest tables in the world, where like Trevor Noah, you sit with the Bill Gates, where like a Trevor Manuel, I'm a colored, where Trevor Manuel, you sit with the Rothschilds. I don't know who Black Coffee gets to sit with, where Pete Diddy gets to sit with Ray Dalio, dollar billionaire in hedge funding. Someone maybe sits with a Bill Goss, PIMCO, where we get to sit with CEOs, it's cool. Vusi Tembewayo sits with Michael Jordan, the youngest CEO of FNB, brilliant mind as well. Where Given Mkari gets to sit with Johan Rupert. And you work your way up there, and then you have to get into the elite circles. And once you get there, then you have to make sure that you retain the privilege. Because you can't open it up for everyone. You can't be a communist socialist. What the fuck? Even Jacob Zuma with Inkandla, he's for the people. His family does well, he does well, he's comfortable. He's earning a presidential salary of 3 million a year. He gets people donating for his legal cases. He's done well. And I will always love Jacob Zuma, and unashamedly so, because he awoke a great consciousness in many people that were sleeping. He shone a spotlight and he put up a mirror in South Africa for many people that didn't understand what was going on. And as much as he's complicit because he's part of a corrupt ANC, he's part of an enabling ANC for the Guptas, for other corrupt black tenderpreneurs. He also helped a lot of white businesses that also funded him at the time to carry on being rich. But he showed us what's happening in this country. He showed us with SAA and Tutumieni, what showed us with SABC and Hlaudi Mutweneng. He showed us trying to transform Treasury. They tried to change the mining charter and. So we appreciate that. And look, for all intents and purposes, Zuma doesn't really care for money. The guy's a servant. The guy loves politics. He loves debate and challenging. And the idea of a South Africa that is inclusive is a pipe dream. People like myself, being approached by billionaires like Rob Hersoff, being approached by billionaires like Kulufelo Maponya, being approached by multimillionaires like some of my mates in business and mining. You've seen some of them on the panel show. Black, white, colored. There are more coming. Female, multimillionaires, black female multimillionaires that you've seen on my platforms. People like DJ Sbu, multimillionaire. It becomes difficult for me to remain truly independent as time goes on, because some of these people involved in some of the scandals are friends, are people that may sponsor some of my channels, my content, people that host me in their homes, people who are friends with some of the wrongdoers, people who genuinely care about me, about my family, people who want to use me as a mouthpiece to fight whatever agenda they have. They are attacking black business. Yeah, but we need to look into merit and not see color. Let's support the Moonshot Pact, DA. No, we need Pan-Africanist organizations like ATM. Yeah, but the colors are not looked at, the Patriotic Alliance. We need to be Pan-African, Dr. Umar Ifatunde. Zimbabwe is being sanctioned, Rutendo Matinyarare. And everyone has their own agenda. The sad thing is the man at the bottom is so ignorant and is literally like Animal Farm, just treated like a sheep to the slaughter. My morals don't allow me to keep quiet about these things. I will protect my friends and not mention their names. It is for other people to mention their names, not me. And this becomes the problem when you become popular, when you start getting into the rooms of the elite. Trevor Manuel cannot speak out against anyone who's his mate. Trevor Noah is not going to speak out against Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci. Those are his mates now. Played tennis with Bill Gates, and I think it might have been Rafael Nadal. played tennis, exhibition game. Oprah Winfrey's friends, I think he was friends with Harvey Weinstein, and they can't call out these people, they're mates. Which is also why it's important for young people who have not been captured in various ways, who are not friends with some of these people, to keep speaking out. And people like myself, until the day I get fully captured and I completely change my tune, I have to speak truth to power. And JJ Tabane does an amazing job as well. Sakina Kamwendo, as I said, amazing job. Liane Manas, Dan Korda, currently on TikTok, Zimasa Vabaza Mustafa. He's going to get captured very quickly, and he's very brand friendly. But we're trying to open up these stories. We're trying to be honest and open, and we're trying to lead the way. There were people before us. I mean, the Nelson Mandelas and the Oliver Tambos and the Walter Sisulus, or Jacob Zuma, not really sure about Cyril, about Thabo Mbeki, Ace Magashule, Julius Malema, Muyiseni Ndloziflo. All of these guys were good people that were trying to expose. But as you ascend up the pyramid, some of these people fund you, become your friends, your kids go to the same school. Because you must understand, man, elite, corrupt people are human beings like you and I. Like I said, some of the traders involved in these scandals are like your family members. It's your cousin who got a scholarship to a private school, who went to and study at Wits, UCT, Rhodes, Tux, and then went and got a great job at Investec, a great job at RMB, a great job at ABSA, Netbank. Some of them have been seconded to a Morgan Stanley, to a Goldman Sachs, to a BNP Paribas. You're proud of them. The black tax that they send home, the knowledge, the beautiful home you get to visit during holidays, the nice car they drive. These are people we know. Now, are you going to go and blast and be like, I just found out that my cousin, I just found out that my sister was involved in the scandals. This is her name, this is her face. I hope she gets fired and our family no longer earns that money. You're not. You're not. Some of your friends might be tenderpreneurs involved in scandals. You might be friends with the mayor. You might be friends with the municipal manager. You know the tenders they dish. You know the bribes that they get. You're going to turn a blind eye. You're not going to speak out. Other people are going to blow the whistle on them. Rob Hersoff, close friend. I love Rob so much. Shout out to him. Shout out to the Ridge School in Joburg, the most expensive primary school. Shout out to Michael House, one of the most expensive schools in South Africa. Those are his alma maters. And then he went to UCT and then he studied. Did he study at Harvard? I'm not sure. He worked for Rupert Murdoch, worked for Johan Rupert, third generation Hersoff. When I spoke about Avenge, which is actually Anglo-Fall engineering, part of the construction mafia, Rob Hersoff's family set up Avenge, Anglo-Fall engineering, which was a breakaway along with AVI, Anglo-Fall Industries, of which his brother is one of the heads there. And what is it? Is it Anglo Mining? Anglo Gold? All these companies, some of them which broke off a peace, Peace, Patrice Motsepe, your favorite black billionaire in South Africa. Great human being. Rob wants this country to work. Rob Hersoff is Rassi Erasmus. It's white, arguably privileged, even though Rassi is not as privileged as Rob. Rassi played for the Springboks. He was a golden boy. Rob Hersoff, same golden boy. And he's like, Pen is my Siya Kolisi. Siya Kolisi captured arguably today. Working with Johan Rupert is a face for Luno, Remgro company. Is a face for Boss T, which DJ Sboo said on the panel show is linked to Johan Rupert. He wines and dines with all these guys. White Monopoly Capital and the Stellenbosch Mafia are funding the Springboks that you love so much. So Rob Hersoff is that to me. I'm just not Siya Kolisi because unlike Siya, I'm that rebellious black that won't say the right things and we want to create hope for the country and we really want to give hope to the hopeless and we've got so many problems in the country. And I just want to thank all the guys, I want to thank Rob Hersoff and I want to thank Johan Rupert for everything they do for us. I want to thank my partner Rachel Kolisi, and I just want to thank all South Africans for all the support. I don't speak like that. I fucking stab hard. Whenever you're confused and lost, go and read Animal Farm. Whenever you're confused and lost, go and read 1984. Whenever you're confused and lost, go and watch a movie, V for Vendetta by the Wachowskis, starring Hugo Weaving. When you're lost, go watch The Matrix, the Wachowskis as well. starring Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves. When you're lost, go to penalism principles and keep it simple. We are just animals in this world, no different to a chimpanzee, no different to a lion and an elephant. We are just trying to get by. Unlike animals, we don't aggressively fight for territory, even though sometimes we do. Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, etc. We do not fight like we used to in the past. Human beings created language and story. Go and watch a video and a TED talk by Yuval Noah Harari on why humans run or rule the world. We created language and story, and with language and story, we created fictional realities. Countries, sovereign states, money, human rights, and from there, people then started playing around with these things through what we call institutions today: the law, the courts, the South African Reserve Bank and other central banks, the currencies, money, and we've got these dreams of financial freedom and economic freedom and political freedom, and I want my children to be eloquent and articulate. The reality is that we're animals, and what's fundamentally important is to have physical health, eat well, get some sunlight, walk, especially barefoot, and ground yourself. Make sure that you're eating organic foods that come from the earth as much as possible. Drink water, more than juice, more than cool drink. Try and get organic remedies from the earth. And the best medicine is food. Make sure that you are protecting your loved ones. Get weapons. If you can get advanced weapons, great. If not, learn how to fight. Get a spear, etc. and protect your loved ones as far as possible. Make children. Keep the human race, the human species, these human animals alive for as long as possible. And then chase something that feels like a good purpose. It could be wanting to help the world. It could be wanting to decrease income inequality. It could be wanting to build your grand and nice house. It could be wanting to meet wealthy people. It could be wanting to travel the world, crack jokes like Trevor Noah, make music like Black Coffee, earn a Grammy nomination like Tyler or Musa Keys, become DJ Smooth and create a beverage company and inspire hustlers around the world. Taking your family out of the shacks. It could be, I want to give back. It could be, I want to promote minimalism. I want to get as many people as possible to be naked and not stop wearing clothes. I want to become a healthcare worker and heal the sick and find a purpose that feels worthwhile. I want to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. I want to embody Prophet Muhammad. I want to be like Buddha. I want to be like Moses in the Torah. Whatever it may be, just do that. But don't lose your mind. All of this is noise. I get worked up, I get angry because we're being gaslit by noise. The problem is the elite, they create these rules and regulations and these systems which are warped and oppressive. And then when they are called out, they never play by the same rules. You're offside. No, South African Reserve Bank and SARS and the NPA found no wrongdoing. You're like, but everyone else, VBS was collapsed. Why are these other banks not? No, it's different. We have to make sure the economy is stable. And Marcus used to know, we've asked him, Koos Baker and Naspers, asked to come to the State Capture Commission, told them to go fuck themselves. Jacob Zuma comes to the commission, points out a conflict of interest, says he won't come to the commission, and then he's arrested for contempt of court. We have to watch this shit play out in real life. But outside all the noise of politics, who are you going to vote for? Who's going to what? So Ramaphosa must step down. Godongwana, Pravin Gordhan, Julius Malema saying, no, we must open the borders. And after all of that noise, remember that you're just an animal and try and live as best a life as possible. And where you can, because we straddle these two realities, the real world of the animals and the fictional world of human beings with human rights and cognitive dissonance and cognitive thinking abilities and language and story. And I serve a living God, and you're blaspheming, and no, he's learned French, and bonjour, salut, comment ça va? Ça va bien. Je m'appelle Penuel, le stylo noir. Fundi Sutu, Dumelang, Bahayetu, Likai. Language and story and manipulating people's minds to favor you. I don't like this black pen guy, he talks shit. Pen is a sellout. I love Pen because he speaks truth. It's all story. Take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and try and invest in people that care about you. Some of the people that care about you that will invest in you are some of these corrupt elite politicians and business owners. So it becomes a fuck up because they create jobs for your family members. FNB, Nedbank, Capitec, ShopRite, PEP. The construction companies that built your hospital, your library. The scholarship, the person that gave back and built the library or sponsoring the soccer tournament, about ABSA, Premier Cup or whatever. About MTN, which are fucking screwing us with the cost of data, and about Vodacom. Corrupt. It's another cartel that Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, Telkom. It's another cartel. It won't get exposed. The pharmaceutical industry, Adcock Ingram, Aspen, so many. Outside of COVID, outside of ARVs, another cartel. But you have to keep your sanity. Otherwise, uzohlanya bafu. Khula ngengqondo baba. Kodwa uPenzo, lo push uKanye West manje. Osambe ngqunu baba ethi hey I'm God. Penal is God, penal is God, worship me. Uyahlanya lo mjita baba. He's lost it. Don't lose it. You're an animal. You're a chimp. Behave. And live long. Cowards live long. Some righteous men live long. Maybe maneuver like Nelson Mandela. He fought for the right thing. And I know the elite white people keep looking for their next Nelson. They try to find it in Musi Maimane. They see that they failed in Cyril Ramaphosa. They're kind of gambling with an old Herman Mashaba. So people like myself might be good to go. Ntlantla Likes might be good to go. Mpho Takada might be good to go. Which other young up-and-coming people? Julius Malema. Time will tell. If he gets more power, he might move from being old Mandela, pre-Robben Island Mandela, to being friends like Mandela with the Oppenheimers and the Visas when they start funding him to be like, Or he might be rebellious, that like a Jacob Zuma, who even when he was funded by the elites, he was like, oh, yinde. Tina sizwe esimnya sikalela izwele elatatwa abamhlophe mabawuyeke mabawuyeke umhlaba we mabawuyeke mabawuyeke umhlaba wethu. Izwe, again, propaganda story, what, because the political elite want you to vote for them on this promise of land expropriation. The ANC did it, the EFF is doing it again. Land belongs to no one. But you can be a custodian of land if you are willing to fight for land, if you are willing to defend that land, and arguably most importantly, if you can be productive with that land. Too many of us are obsessed with these stories that I'm raising now. What's trending in the news on X? What's hot on Mocha Love, Mzansi Magic, DSTV, Netflix? Instead of being like, we are animals, how do we work with the land to be productive? Let's go and farm. Let's build something. Let's work with each other. Let's heal the sick. Let's educate. Let's build a better world. I'm still going to be friends and I'm still going to be getting to know so many of these guys complicit in the scandal I'm speaking about. It already upsets me that I'm going to be working with them, that I'm going to be friends with them, that they're going to fund me. But until the day I completely change my tune, listen to my truths. Listen to my truths. Until YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and X completely start censoring us, just like mainstream media, we will speak truth. Animal Farm, 1984, George Orwell. If anything, I need to be focusing my energy on raising as much money as possible and sending out free copies of Penalism Principles, 1984, Animal Farm, The Ascent of Money, funding free bioscopes in townships where kids are forced to watch V for Vendetta, The Matrix, and other such movies, in churches, in town halls, for free, and getting as many people as possible to plant fruit trees, to plant vegetable gardens, and be like, guys, outside of all the noise, protect your mental integrity and always know what is most important. Always go back to being an animal. After all the noise, go back to being an animal. And if it means you have to go into the mountains and be an hermit and become a hermit and become an Indian guru. Penwell has now got a long white beard like Joshua Maponga. He doesn't wear clothes anymore. He walks around with a cloth. He now sits cross-legged like Sadhguru. Sometimes, like Andre 3000, when you ask him questions, he just plays a flute instead of giving you an answer, or he sings. And in the song, try and find what the answer. Or he meditates. If you come to him and you ask him a question, he gives you a specific fruit. He gives you a specific thing to drink. That's the answer for you. He's become this guru. Sometimes you are kuluma. Sometimes you are teta. Sometimes wabua. Sometimes parler. Whatever. He brought Afrikaans. He speaks English. Je parle français. Kiabua Sutu. Setswana, Spedi. Ndiyathetha isiXhosa, ndiyakhuluma isiNdebele, ndiyakhuluma isiSwati, ndiyakhuluma isiZulu. Try and connect with the people. Language is a vibration and a frequency, and we just need to free our minds. Went on for too long. The rand manipulation scandal saga continues in South Africa along with all the other mafias. And they want you to stay tuned and to feel like something is happening when nothing's happening but distractions. In South Africa, currently we're on stage 4, which is not really stage 4, it's stage 8, because we're on 8 hours of no power. We are only really awake for 16 hours. And of those 16 hours, half of them, we're going to have no power, no electricity, of which electricity is not a right, it's a privilege. But because Eskom is a monopoly, never mind a cartel, the new cartel is going to be the independent power producers of Abo Patrice Motsepe, Jeff Radebe, Cyril Ramaphosa, and others. Gwede Mantashe as well is not innocent. The energy mafias that are going on around the world. The water mafias are still coming. Nestle called it years ago that they want to privatize water. Nestle. These are the mafias and the cartels outside of the pharmaceutical industry, outside of the banking mafias. There are food mafias, of course. There are clothing mafias that you may not know. Never mind Amancia or Tega. There are many others. There are cell phone cartels, technology cartels. Never mind Meta. Right now, Sam Altman has been fired from OpenAI. OpenAI had Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, but they left. And guess who came in? Bill Gates, who's just been interviewed on What Now, Trevor Noah's new podcast, because it's Trevor's mate, Bill Gates, who can do no wrong. America wants us to move away from fossil fuels, but Bill Gates is invested in nuclear energy. Germany is using fossil fuels, our coal, but they gave us money to move away from coal. Our nuclear plant in the Western Cape is constantly at struggle. Usiswami Princess Mtombeni that I've sat with on my platform, that I've sat with on the panel show, it's going to come out. We speak about these things. There are mafias out there and we are just collateral damage. And people are dying. Sudan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, one of the biggest human rights violations by the West and the East that South Africa turns a blind eye to. Zimbabwe, Rwanda, Paul Kagame was well involved in some of the things that are happening in the DRC. Cameroon, West Africa with Gabon, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, New Guinea, Nigeria and its corruption, Angola, some of the Portuguese colonies we don't speak about because we don't speak Portuguese. Obrigado. You know, my 2 kids are in Brazil now learning Portuguese after spending 4 years in China learning Mandarin. They are going to be the next level of me and the mutation of Penuel the Black Pen. And they are going to completely fuck shit up along with other penalists that have been fucking with my shit in South Africa, on the African continent and around the world. Great Jabesi, you know, futuristic thinkers, DJ Sbu. Some of us, man, got so many people. Warwick Stock, my boy. I've sat with on the panel show. He met with Zubi, who was speaking at a Psycha event. Zubi is an amazing international link. So I know Waras. Waras was chilling with Zubi. Zubi interviewed Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a South African. He went to Pretoria Boys, you know, and I think he went to Tux for a little bit. I think he may have went to Bryanston High as well. Like, the world is becoming smaller for me, but we want to We want to do better work. And it cannot be that Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and George Soros, maybe Putin, maybe Xi Jinping, maybe Kagame, become the only people that get to dictate how the world gets moved. Some of us, Joe Rogan, Stephen Bartlett, Lex Friedman, Mark Zuckerberg, I guess, Wode Maya. Some of us have to have our say. Joshua Maponga. Yeah, man. We want to add our voice to the type of future that we want. Go watch Stanford interview of, why do I always forget his name? Palihapitiya is his surname. Palihapitiya. He was a Facebook executive. Chamath Palihapitiya. Go watch his Stanford interview as well, where he speaks about the 100 or 150 white men who run the world, and how those of us who are enlightened, our goal must be to get into that room of 100 men. Not be a puppet like Cyril or Patrice, not be a puppet like Paul Kagame, but move closer to becoming a George Soros, Bill Gates, the guys in Switzerland, the guys that fund the UN, that fund the World Health Organization, that manipulate the banks, sit at that level and get to dictate what people are eating, get to dictate what people are wearing, get to dictate people's religious beliefs. We are now going to fund penalism, get to dictate the medicine and the healthcare practices that people have. Go watch They Cloned Tyrone with Jamie Foxx on Netflix. Go watch They Cloned Tyrone. There are people that sit and decide on who gets to run the world. Go watch Ex Machina. Brilliant movie, Ex Machina, as well. I've spoken too much. Paying you all the black pen. Have a great and blessed day, and I'll catch up with you guys again soon. I love you. Please sponsor some of my videos so that I'm not captured by white monopoly capital and corrupt BEE. I'm hoping at some point white monopoly capital will give me money. I'm hoping BEE, fat cats and corrupt entrepreneurs will give me money. I'm hoping some good people are going to give me money, because I believe that for now, before I become tainted, I will take that money, I will put it to good use, and I'll make sure that the Siya Kolisi's, Bongi Mbonambi's, Cheston Colby's, Damian Willems's of politics, of business get funded. You know, Sandile Zungu, Siya Uza, Justin Stanford, Vinnie Lingham, Vusi Tembewayo, Mpotakada, Talipani Banks, Sandile Zungu, I've said Sandile Shezi, Ntlantla Lux, Ian Cameron, Chris Papas, Gayton McKenzie, some of the amazing young women doing brilliant work. Never mind Tusombedu. I hope that they'll be more vocal. Some of them are getting into the podcast space now. Brilliant minds. Ursula Mariani, who I've sat with, Lelo N, who I've sat with, Gigi Lamaine, brilliant mind. She's known as a rapper, but she's a brilliant mind. We need more of these people, man, to come up, and my money is going to be going to fund some of the great minds of the future. And we're going to exploit the African continent. Lesego Modise, you haven't met him yet, brilliant. And some other brilliant people on the continent. I'm going to be collaborating with a lot of, especially young people on the continent. I'm going to be collaborating with young people from Russia, young people from Germany, young people from the United States of America, young people from China, from South Korea, young people from Brazil, from Argentina, from Canada, from London, England, from Paris. Well, it's going to help to speak French, I guess, specifically because there are more French speakers on the African continent than English speakers. A lot of Arab speakers on the African continent. Maybe at some point, depending on how my life goes, I might speak up Arabic as a language, maybe a little bit of Swahili. I still have a bit of time and a bit of energy, so I need to pump. I need to pump the ability to influence as many minds and colonize as many minds as possible, especially to plant seeds of Ubuntu, plant seeds of Sankofa, plant seeds of organic ways of living, so that we can sustain existence, especially with the dangers of artificial intelligence now. Sam Altman might be coming back, we're not sure. I saw the CEO of Microsoft. The Indians are taking over, by the way. Be careful of the Indians. From a black perspective, be careful of the Nigerians. Never mind Burna Boy and Davido. Talking tech, talking like global business. Microsoft CEO. Be careful of the Indians, boy. They've taken over Silicon Valley and tech. He hired Sam Altman to make sure that he takes over the artificial intelligence leg of Microsoft. Satya Nadella. But like I said, the interesting thing is Microsoft, Bill Gates, OpenAI. I think it's OpenAI. Bill Gates as well. People that run the world. Satya Nadella, the CEO. Yeah, man. Interesting times up ahead. These are the things that we track with about Lex Friedman, about Joe Rogan, about Elon Musk. Jeff AI. There's another amazing gent on TikTok who teaches me about AI. I'm blabbing on. Sponsor my videos, donate to my channel, help fund me. If it's not with money, because I don't care for money, value. Pen, I'll offer you accommodation. Pen, your followers, I can feed them. Pen, I've got this business. If people can't afford money, they can bring these things that we need. Pen, we are moving from money to value, or we are moving to bartering. We are moving to value exchange. We are moving to blockchain and crypto. We are going to create the resource capturing and transfer mechanisms of the future, so that the elite who are fucking imbeciles are not manipulating and destroying the amazing collaborative work that has been created by the people of the past. I'm speaking too much. I'm out. Cheers.